Out there, which is really kind of nice. Whenever you're doing public speaking, to see someone you know in the audience is a lot of comfort, at least to someone like me. I am Holly Rose Molly. My husband Barry and I have Garden Brothers Farm in Churches Ferry, and once a year we have what we call the produce market. And since today's topic and why I was asked to be on this panel is to talk about opportunities in agritourism, I thought not only would I mention the produce party some, which later I do another presentation and I have photos and some things in that presentation of the produce party. But I wanted to get you thinking and hopefully give you some ideas about those opportunities in agritourism. We've talked already today about growing foods, a little bit about farmers markets, about nature trails and things like that. But as Cornelius mentioned, people in other areas are really looking to get that rural experience. And I know a lot of times we think about, oh, it would be the folks here in North Dakota, it would be tourists that are coming. But that's not always the case. I just talked to one of our growers near Doyen who does a CSA. In other words, she raises vegetables, she sells them at farmers market, and then she has shareholders that she gives them to. And on Saturday she said, Holly, do you understand that some of my CSA members in Devil's Lake and in Prairie and in our area here did not know what to do with green beans. They didn't know how to blanch them, to freeze them. They didn't know how to cook them. And they had wanted to come out to the farm because they've never seen a horse close up. We have people in our own areas and in our own state, in the rural areas, that will participate in agritourism activities if they are there for them. In fact, some of the most traveled part of tourism is people going to visit family and friends, just like Cornelius said. They're going to visit family and friends. And nowadays, with the tight economy and high gas costs, they're not going as far. They're not traveling as far. So some of the people that you will attract to your agritourism venture are from very close. They're from within a 100-mile radius, or even maybe a 200-mile radius. And if you think, for a second you say, oh, but I can't teach them anything. I don't know anything. That's not true at all. People want to learn. They really want to know about you as a person, about you and your culture, and about what you're doing where you are. Some of the things that we do at Garden Dwellers Farm that have made it more attractive as a destination place for people is, Cornelius mentioned mazes. We don't have a maze, but we have a labyrinth. And the difference is in a labyrinth, you don't have to make decisions. There are no dead ends. As long as you stay on the path, it leads you to the center and it leads you back out. But they use labyrinths a lot of times in churches. They use them with youth groups as a great decision-making tool because it's active, you walk it, you use both sides of your brain. Okay, so that's great. But the other thing that we did with our labyrinth was plant it with native grasses. So it gives us an opportunity to talk to people when they come out about the big blue stem and the little blue stem and the switchgrass and the buffalo grass that used to cover the plains in this area, and what it looked like when the settlers first came, and what those root systems do to the soil. Something as simple as planting grass has turned into a very nice educational opportunity for us. Opportunities in agritourism exist everywhere, and all you have to do is think about what is it I have to offer? What is it I know? Because everyone knows something. Everyone is good at something. And then share that. And the beauty of sharing that is the North Dakota Division of Tourism and the North Dakota Department of Agriculture have a multitude of ways that are free and easy in which to share those. Now for our produce party, as I mentioned before, our majority of people that come, we draw between 300 and 400 people every year in that one day. And for us, that's pretty good. We're just this little tiny dot on the map. 300, 400 people in town when usually there's 10 is pretty good. And we draw them from about 150-mile radius. And they come because we make it an event where they can learn something. We usually have workshops, and I have pictures of that, and they can stay, it's not just to come, shop, and leave. They come and they stay most of the day. And there are certain things that those people in agritourism, when they're out to learn something, they want to do. They want to know that it's family friendly. They want to know that it's safe. They want to know that they're going to learn something or see something that they can't learn or see someplace else. And I've said it several times already. Every one of you has that. You just have to let others know you have it too. So, anyway, our produce party, one-day farmers market, mostly produce folks. We try to keep it at least 51% of our vendors is produce. The rest can be crafts or baked goods. We put on seminars throughout the day. I find people in the area that have that knowledge, and I ask them to come and put on a little, 20-minute to 45-minute workshop about what they do. We have a labyrinth that kids and people can run, and we put up an interpretive sign so that I don't need to stand there. We have other events throughout the day that I'll talk about later in my other presentation. We have picnic tables so people can sit and relax. Maybe they'll go buy, some muffins and sit at the picnic tables and eat them. We allow them, free access to all of our gardens, and I try and put up signs to label everything. And we tell them, go ahead, pick it, smell it, taste it. Because, our product you can do that with. Now, if you were doing cucumbers, or corn, you might not want to pick in their own. But we make it very tactile and very interactive. And so that's what the produce party is kind of all about. So now I'd like to turn it over to Chad. Do you want to introduce you?
Не так, як ви чантеєваште на печі, доша маю, basic track records. First off, I'd like to kind of tell you guys what I just said in Dakota. The first part, all my relations with the heart, I shake your hand. And the second part is in Hidatsa. It just means hello, my friends. My name is Chad Drager. I'm half Dakota and I'm half Hidatsa. My right side is the half Dakota, my left is half Hidatsa. I'm just kidding, can't do that. But first off, I'd like to ask the elders to excuse me for speaking in front of you. I'm in our Dakota way. That's how we do things around here. We always ask our elders to excuse us, in case we say something that they don't agree with. But I'm just here to tell you about what I do and how it blends in with our Dakota culture. I have a drum group called Rhythm Riders. I started out about 2006, summer of 2006 I started out. And we just been singing a lot together. And that went real well. I got us on the radio. We did a live recording at the school year. And I got us on the radio. And after that, I have 4 children. You can see one of them is over here. He's 3 years old. His name is Hans. And he's in training right now. He's in singing training and also in potty training. Hey. He's kind of like the all-around type of guy where he can just potty anywhere, all around, It's kind of good ideas. But I teach my children how to sing and dance. I don't know everything, but what I do know is that's what I will teach. So I taught them, I'm teaching them how to sing and dance, and I got them on the radio too. And how that first started out was we do performances for a guy named Mikey Flowers out here in Wood Lake at the local ministry center. It started out last year. Me and my daughter, Skylar Driver, she is 9 now, but she started singing when she was 7 in public. And we just started performing with just me and her. We did a bit of about 10 songs, and I would sing, how it started out, I'd sing 1, and then, or actually I would sing 9 and she would sing 1, and then it got to the point where at the end of the summer she was doing all 10 songs with me. And then the next summer I had my kids were going, and I just kept teaching them everything I knew about singing and dancing. And that's what kind of got me this job right now. Right now I am the Dakota culture teacher. I teach the kids how to sing, dance, and also not just that, but also I teach them about respect. The singing and dancing is really easy to learn, but I think it's the respect that kind of takes it's more time consuming. Is kind of teach them how to act in public, kind of help the parents out a little bit, the same time, parents helping me out, offering their hand when I needed. But so what I did is I got the kids, my kids on the radio, and I got them into performances like that. And then once, at the same time that I was teaching over here, about the end of July, first week in August, the council had got a grant. They had got a grant, new money to go towards cultural learning at the school year. They wanted me to get more culture out to the kids. And it happened to be, I don't know if it was the perfect timing or what, but I was teaching a summer class over at the college, and that's when that position they created came open. Now once they created that position, they needed someone to fill it. And because I did so much singing on the reservation, I don't really get nothing. I don't ask for nothing or expect nothing. But I just sang every time someone wanted me to go, barely making it. If I had the gas get there, I would get there. And we don't really get much. But what we get is respect. Like right now, the big thing about me being here today, what brought me here is getting to do this, getting to share what I learned through, from my culture and stuff like that. And so once they created that position and they finally needed someone to do it, to fill that position, my name kept coming up. Like I said, I sing a lot. We just got back from Fargo. First Friday and Saturday over here, we did a wake and a funeral. And Saturday, once the funeral was over with, we were in our film, our main film, we went to Fargo to do a weekly ceremony. And what that is, it kind of communicate, you can communicate to the ones that passed on, and we sing the songs for them. And it's quite an experience. I've been through it a couple times, and the third time they asked me, I knew what it was about. And I was just like I said, I sang all night at the wake and funeral, and I wanted to go home and go to sleep. But what I do is I teach the kids at our school. It's from grade 2nd through 12th. In order for me to teach them, I have to, know what I'm teaching. So any opportunity comes up, I'll sing and I try to make it there. So I bring it back to my kids. So once I did start teaching my kids, got them on radio, that position opened up, and the council, the school board had called me. I was sitting at home, waiting for something else to come up, something else to sing for, and that I got a phone call, told me, I didn't realize, what they asked me to do. They asked me, can you come teach the kids how to sing and dance? I was like, all right, I did it before I was again. And the door opened, I jumped through it without even thinking about, what I really have to do. I got through the door, and once I got through there, I started telling me everything I had to do. It got very overwhelming. I almost didn't go back, but I always thought about the kids because I did a few practices with them before, and what kept me coming back was the faces. The faces when I gave them a hand drum and I showed them a song. And they didn't know it at first. In the background, they were messing around when it wasn't their turn. But once they got that drum, they were just so focused. They got a ear-to-ear smile. In the mornings, I didn't want to go to work. That's what I thought of with them to keep you there. So I did that. We got my kids on the radio. And then once I said, yes, I'll do that. And once I signed the paper and stuff, and I got there, and the kids, they heard me on the radio. And then the parents signed the papers. They say, oh, well, this guy, taught us to be on the radio, talk about it, dancing performances. Well, I'm going to sign his paper, and he's going to do that for my kids. I'm pretty sure that's what all the parents think right now. But then it's very, very hard to do it. Like I said, it's overwhelming. But then again, it's just being very, very proud. And I realized that I am a bridge from what was passed on, what was taught before. It's kind of passing through me onto the kids, into the kids' mind and their hearts and stuff like that. So once the parents sign the paper, they say, well, here you go, hand it in. My kids will be on the radio, they're going to have it for you. I'm pretty sure that's what the parents are thinking. But, I don't think they realize how much time and dedication it takes to do that kind of things. It's really our dedication that will keep us, that will succeed. Their dedication. It's just be there for them. Be there for them 100%. And also, what I'm doing, I kind of try to do everything at once. When I first got there, we started, the first day was September 13th. And last week we did something that, got me motivated again. We got a chance to sing for Dorgan, Byron Dorgan last Tuesday. And the guy that set up, I called, because I almost gave up. I went home for 2 days, I almost didn't go back. And I started remembering, and then it wasn't about me anymore. It was about my people. And if I give up, I'm thinking, I ain't gonna, these kids probably won't learn, that because if I wasn't there, they were gonna drop the program. They were gonna have to wait until they found someone else to fill it. So that would have set not only me back, but our kids and our people back sometime. So I keep going back every day, not just for me, but for my kids and other people's kids and all. And when we're there, it's just a really hard thing to do. The parent, they want it done tomorrow. And they got to realize it's like a year or two process before we get everything, because when the council handed me a stage thing of everything they wanted, they want me to do basket raffles to put it on powwows. And I can do it. I can do all of it, but I don't have the time. They give me enough time. I'm only spending like 2 hours a day. It's not enough time. Like right now, I don't have enough time to share everything. But just what I am doing is I help the children to what a big thing we got going on is the internet. We got the internet going on right now. And I think that's kind of why they always kind of reached out to me. It's kind of because I can relate to the younger ones a little bit easier than an older person can. And also to keep up with them kids, because those kids are running all over the place. I mean, they were running all over the place. The first day I was there, I had 81 students sign their permission slips. And it was just me. I got some assistants. But making an outfit could take about 6 months. It depends on how bad you want and how much you work on it. But I was thinking once I got an outfit permission slips, I started thinking, can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? And then we started practicing. Only about 40 of them showed up, and that's still a lot. That's still a lot of people. Still a lot of kids to teach. And at the same time, teach my kids too, because my kids are in indie club, and you got to be fair, because one of my kids, they got a bad report, and even though it's my kid, her name's Sky Forever, she's the one that has Sky's Unlimited. She's 9 years old. I make the songs for her group, and however, it's my time. It ain't overdone, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build it for her. She's only 9, and if I can get her all on radio and everything by the time she's 13, well, then she'll have a lot easier. Her name will be up there a lot more easier, and she'll be a lot more respected than if I was just to do it, for myself. So I ain't Chad's Limit. I go by Sky Limit after my daughter. And that's just what I do. That's what I do. And thanks to the older people that got me into there, I would just like to thank them. And then when I did thank them, they said, well, don't thank us, thank yourself. You're the one who earned that reputation. You're the one who went traveling through all these years, singing, dancing, all that stuff, for all these years. So thank yourself. So here we go. Okay, no, I'm kidding. I would never do that. I would never do that. To me, my work's never done. So I don't know how much time I have. I got to share some more time with other panel members. So I'd like to thank everybody for listening to me and just being on. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for inviting us over here today. It's a real honor. I'm just going to tell you about Fort Totten Historic Site. I guess I have a lot to do with the tourism part. The restoration that it takes to keep it open over there. There is a project that's been open for a few years already. They made the bed and breakfast over there. And it's getting quite popular. A lot of people are starting to come. The other one we've got, it started last year, and they are working on a room that used to be the girls' dormitory over there, and the room is going to be dedicated to the girls' basketball sports, whatever the sports that the girls did. It'll be open in about 2012. The room is built. Right now we're working on redoing our visitors center, which will be open at the opening of 2011. We have a big board member on that group. There are 2 State Historical Society board members from the museum on that board. There is 1 regional director on that board, and we do have 3 tribal members on that board, because we want to get everybody in on what we should put out in this interpretive center. And there's a lot of history over at Fort Totten that is not yet told. In fact, a lot of people call us the best hidden secret in Devil's Lake and Fort Totten, because there's a lot of people that don't know about the historic site. A lot of people think Fort Totten, it's a military site. Yeah, it started out as a military site, but for the biggest part, it was a school out here at Fort Totten. So we want to get more of that history out there. The theater was also renovated last year. There's lots of restoration going on. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money and effort to do stuff like that. And the tourism is what keeps Fort Totten going. If we didn't have people coming to visit us, we wouldn't be able to stay open. It's the donations and the visitors. So I would like to thank everybody for giving us this opportunity to come out and really let you know that it takes all of you to keep us going. So if it wasn't for everybody out here, we wouldn't have what we have. And we have a Living History Field Day every year, and this year it's September 19th. We want everybody to come out to that. I'm always looking for people that want to do demonstrations out there, because we do want to get the history out to more people. So if anybody wants to come and do a demonstration, please get a hold of me at the fort. We need more to teach our younger kids, as Chad is doing, which I think is awesome, because we're really losing all of our history. So thank you.
I'm Lawrence Carlson, working with the Natural Resources Conservation Service. As you know me, I come from that area of the reservation near the Irish Lake Springs. A little bit of history down there and that sort of thing. When you talk about agritourism, the first thing that comes to my mind would be the Spirit Lake Park. The park that's there along Highway 57 is now managed by the Spirit Lake Fish and Wildlife, Andrew Morgan. And I want to mention that there was not, it took many years of planning for that to develop. And there was a lot of sessions, a lot of meetings. We had talked a lot about locations, a number of people, various people throughout the years. And then it was determined that that borrow pit was tribal owned and was a good site, good potential. And the interesting thing is, and this is one of our things we kind of like to brag a little bit about. Some of you know Jill Hawkinson with Resource Conservation Development, which is also part of the NRCS. But when the RCMD gave $1,000 to pay for the culvert to put in the approach to access that borrow pit, and the tribal road department went out and started putting that approach in, and within minutes, phone calls started ringing. You know, what's going on out there? Who's doing this? Who's responsible? And all this sort of thing. Well, as you can see now, it's turned into a pretty good facility. I think the costs or the investments, there were things like power companies providing, power poles. There was all kinds of stuff, various grants and things. And the tribe has put in a lot of money into that. And I think it's a conservative figure to say that there's excess of $500,000 invested in that park now. One of the latest things that Andrew's been doing is the medicine wheel on the hillside. And that has resulted in people stopping, taking pictures, asking, so that's been a fairly significant thing. Now, what we're thinking about that might lead into is a trail system. We originally planned that would be the trailhead for a trail system that would be non-motorized, that would begin there, go up over the hills, and for those of you, maybe you're already aware of this, but there's a rather intricate trail system up all over those hills that connects those radio towers. The Snowmobile Club, Spirit Lake Snowmobile Club, I believe, used to have those leased, the trails leased for snowmobile trails, but they have since abandoned that. So the trails are available, and that's one of the possibilities that has been looked at. And then, as Rachel was saying, the trail that begins here at the college, in theory, the plan would be to connect those two together. And as issues, there's always obstacles, because Sully's Hill and Tribal Buffalo Pasture would be in between those two trails. Somehow that has to be figured out. I work very closely with Tribal NVIA Realty, and sometimes if you ever get into working with grant applications or it's a lot of forms, you'll see a lot of things available for public land, private land, and then a lot of times they'll say and tribal, which means when we're dealing with tribal or trust lands, it's a different category and adds a little more complication to things. It just gets a little more interesting, and that's kind of the area that I get involved with more. I won't be here this afternoon, so I'm going to have a session on berries, and Dr. McDonald had mentioned a little bit earlier about the trees he had. So I just put together a little bit of information that you might find interesting on the trees that have been planted probably over the last 6 to 8 years here on the reservation. We have estimated, and I think this is not an accurate count, but this is a conservative estimate, that over this period of time we have planted in excess of 5,000 berry-producing trees of some sort or other. Now, of those, the kinds of trees we plant, Juneberry has been the big one. We are planting chokecherry, but that is becoming less and less because chokecherry is becoming very susceptible to a lot of diseases. There's some new chokecherries being worked on, but it's not that simple. Plums, sandcherry, buffaloberry, golden currants, black chokeberry. Black chokeberry, by the way, is going to be the one that we believe is going to replace ash, because the emerald ash borer is probably going to take out all ash trees, probably in the whole country eventually, just like the Dutch elm disease. It hasn't arrived here yet, but we figure it's coming. And the replacement one planted as black chokeberry. There's also a nannyberry, which is a kind of a small bush, nanking cherry, which is short-lived, and then some crab apples. So you see there's been a pretty good variety. Now the question is, okay, where are these planted? Now, as in the case, like Russ was saying, he planted these on his land. So what is accessible to the general public? A lot of these trees are planted on tribal land, so they would be available to pretty much anyone. And so this is a rough idea of where they are. The biggest share of the trees planted are the Ross Acres. And there are places in Ross Acres that are not, there's locations that there's no one living and somebody wants to go in there and pick some, that'd be fine. There was a pretty good plum crop this year, and kind of an interesting thing is there were some yellow buffalo berries, not red, and I thought that was interesting. What happens is we get our trees are all called conservation grade stock, and so we're not guaranteed what we're getting. So sometimes we might get some interesting mix of, there might be some experimental varieties or something like that. So we don't, we may get occasionally some that may look a little bit different. And then the other areas, west of Fort Totten, if you're familiar, by the shelter belts housing, north of there and west up there across the road, put in quite a few Juneberries there this year. South of Fort Totten Rec, we added 2 rows of Juneberries this year. The powwow grounds, surrounding the powwow grounds area is like a 10-row planting. And there's quite a few berry trees in there. And then out of the Spirit Lake Park, Spirit Lake Park will be an interesting phenomenon this year. There were about 10 trees of yellow chokecherries, which is kind of interesting. They taste good, they're a little sweeter, but they don't make quite as good a jelly as what people who did that told me. And then there was also some on Highway 20. If you go up towards Highway 20, when you first cross the bridge on the right hand, on the south side, there's a pretty good planting there, and you continue down, then on the north side, they're out in the hayfield. And these are on tribal lands, so if anybody actually wanted to go out there and pick, they're available. In relation to what Rachel talked about earlier, this is one of the things that kind of ties in there that we get involved with. Last year, the NRCS has been funding, I think that probably the best term is hoop houses, which is like a hoop-shaped greenhouse, which it isn't a year-round greenhouse. It's made to extend the growing season. And at a presentation, a fellow from Crookston, where they had one, said that they were having ripe tomatoes before the end of June. So what it is to try to extend the growing season in these northern climates, because like when you talk farmers markets and stuff, it's very difficult to compete with the longer growth southern areas. But that's a fairly new thing that NRCS is participating in, and they do fund pretty good stuff for that. Also, a big trend in our area, or a big trend for what we deal with is the pollinators. And pollinators, of course, is most things that are flowers.